Alright, let's go ahead and talk about the conic sections, and when we are talking about solving our equations, putting it into standard form, and then going to the process of completing the square. Now, if you guys don't remember completing the square, I did upload 2 videos on the chapter calendar for you guys to go ahead and refer to if you forgot the method. But the main key point is before you complete the square, the quadratic coefficient must equal to 1. Okay. We talked about the different types of conics, the parabola, circles, ellipse, and hyperbola. So you guys want to make sure that you guys are looking at this section to figure out, okay, what kind of graph are we referring to. Okay, so let's go and look at number 1. We have 2x squared minus 4x minus y plus 5 is equal to 0. This one, the x is the only one that is being squared, so this is going to be a parabola. However, I am going to go ahead and rearrange it so it looks more like what we know. So I'm going to put the y on the other side and the rest to follow. Okay. Now you could go ahead and go into the process of factoring, but this one we are going to have to use, completing the square. Okay, so my first rule of thumb was to see if my coefficient is equal to 1, right? It's not. It's equal to 2, so I do have to go and factor out the 2. This becomes x squared minus 4x. Now I'm going to stop right there because when we are completing the square, we want to go ahead and focus on the first 2 terms first, because we're going to add some number to it, and then we're going to go and subtract it later. Okay, we're going to add it and then subtract it because we're adding something to my equation. It has to balance it out. To continue on, though, since we factor out the 2, I'm going to add the 5/2 right over there. So when we're completing the square, we're going to add something to our equation, but then we're going to have to go ahead and subtract it because we have to balance it out. Cool. All right, and in order to find that unknown number, I'm going to go and look at the number that is, oops, I already made a mistake. That should be a 2x. I'm going to go ahead and divide 2 by whatever number is attached to the x. So I'm going to go ahead and divide 2. Negative 2 divided by 2 is equal to a negative 1. And then now I'm going to go ahead and square it. So negative 1 squared is equal to 1. So I'm going to add 1 over there. And then I'm going to subtract 1 on the other side. Okay, if I continue on with my equation, I get y is equal to 2. This guy is factorable. You get x minus 1 squared. And then all I have to do is, okay, what's 5/2 minus 1? That gives me a positive 3/2. My goodness gracious, guys. Since we factor out the 2, it's going to be a big parentheses over there. Since I factored out the whole entire thing. My bad. Okay, so now since I factored out that 2, I have to go and factor it back in to my equation. So you get y is equal to 2 times the quantity of x minus 1 squared. And then 2 times a positive 3/2, right? Those 2's just cancel out. So I'm left with a positive 3. And here's my most condensed equation for my parabola. Okay, here I can go ahead and pinpoint my vertex. The vertex of my equation is 1, 3. So there's that point right there. And then I could go ahead and just draw on my parabola. However, I don't know what this point is right there on my y-axis. So I'm actually going to go ahead and calculate the y-intercept. And you guys remember, to calculate that, all I have to do is equal x to be 0. And we get y is equal to 5. So my y-intercept is at 0, 5. And there's that point right there. Okay. All right, let's talk about number 2. Number 2, it looks like we have 4x squared plus 9y squared minus 8x minus 54y plus 49 is equal to 0. I'm going to go ahead and rearrange my equation so that the x's and the y's stay together. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and move that 49 on over to the other side. All right, it looks like since we are adding, this is going to be an ellipse. Okay, and now I can go ahead and start my process of completing the square. I'm going to go and factor out of 4. This becomes 4x squared minus 2x plus whatever number. On my other side of my y's, I'm going to factor out a 9, and we get y squared minus 6y plus whatever number is equal to a negative 49. Now with my parabola, right, there was no moving over the 5, so we went ahead and subtracted my 1. On this side, since I moved the 49 to the other side, instead of subtracting these unknown numbers, I'm actually going to go ahead and add the unknown numbers. Okay. All right, now I can go and figure out my unknown numbers divided by 2, negative 1 divided by, sorry, it becomes negative 1 squared is 1, divided by 2, negative 3 squared is 9. Okay, instead of adding 1 and 9, because we factored out the 9 and the 4, I have to go ahead and factor them back in. So I'm going to go and factor the 4 back in, factor the 9 back in. So instead of adding 1, I'm going to add 4. Instead of adding 9, I'm going to add 81. Okay, but I continue the process. I get 4 times the quantity of x minus 1 squared plus 9 times the quantity of y minus 3 squared. And then if I go ahead and calculate this guy, what is that, negative 49 plus 4 plus 81, that gives me a 36. Cool. And with the ellipse, right, my equation, right-hand side has to equal to 1, so I have to go ahead and divide every single thing by 36. 36 divided by 36, easy peasy, that's my 1, right? And then 4 does go into 36. It goes 9 times. 9 does go into 36, goes 4 times. So then this is my equation. Right now it's in the format of my ellipse. I can go and figure out the center. Center is 1, 3. Right? How this works is I'm going to go and take the square root of both values of 9 and 4. Square root of 9 is 3, so I'm going to go to the right 3. I'm going to go to the left 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, oh, 2, yep. And then to square root of 4, I'm going to go up 2. And I'm going to go down 2. So there is my ellipse. All right, number 3, it looks like my x's and my y's are together, yay. However, I am going to go ahead and move the 544 on the other side. All right, this one, it is subtraction of my y squared and my x squared, so this is going to be a hyperbola. Okay. I'm going to go through the process. I'm going to factor out a 9. That gives me y squared minus 6y plus my unknown number minus the 25 times the quantity of x squared. What is that? Minus 8x plus my unknown number equals to 544. And again, I'm adding my 2 unknown numbers. Negative 6 divided by 2, that is giving me a quantity of negative 3 squared, which is 9. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4 squared, which is a positive 16. And same exact thing, before I add these on that side, I have to go and factor those 2 numbers back in. So I'm really adding 81. Then negative 25 times 16 gives me a negative 400. Okay, let's continue on. I still have that 9 out there. I get y squared minus 3 squared minus 25 times quantity of x minus 4 squared is equal to 225. Same exact thing as an ellipse, right? This guy has to equal to 1, so I'm going to divide every single thing by 225. Right-hand side becomes a 1. 9 and 25 both go into 225. So then this becomes y squared minus 3 squared all over 25 minus x minus 4 squared all over 9. And this is my hyperbola equation in standard form. Okay, now my center is at 4, 3. Be careful, it's not 3, 4. You have to pay attention to the x first. I'm going to go graph that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. There's my center. Remember, with my hyperbola, we have to go ahead and create that imaginary rectangular box and then form the diagonals and then figure out, okay, is my x positive, my y positive, if we're going up and down or left to right. Okay, so let's first figure out my rectangular box. I'm going to go take the square root of both 25 and 9. So on my y-axis, I'm going to go up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then go down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then my x-axis, I'm going to go right 3. I'm going to go left 3, 1, 2, 3. And then here's my imaginary rectangular box. And then I'm going to go and add in my diagonals of my rectangular box. And then you're going to ask yourself, okay, in my equation, is my x or my y positive? My y is positive, so if I go back to this guy, okay, it doesn't, yeah, up and down, right? So I'm going to go up, and then I'm going to go down. Cool, and there's my hyperbola. All right, last and final one. We have number 4. We have 4x squared plus 4y squared minus 24x minus 12y plus 29 is equal to 0. First, I'm going to go and rearrange my equation. And I'm going to move that 29 on over. All right, I'm going to start factoring out stuff. So I get x squared minus 6x plus unknown number plus 4 times y squared minus 3y plus unknown number is equal to a negative 29. And I'm going to add my 2 unknown numbers. Same exact process. Hopefully you guys got this by now, but okay, this one might be a little bit tricky. You're going to take a negative 3/2 squared 9 over 4. Same exact thing. I'm going to go and factor in the 4's back in. So we're adding 36, we're adding 9, and I'm going to go ahead and continue on. And then my right-hand side, negative 29 plus 36 plus 9, that gives me a positive 16. Okay, if you didn't know by now, this is a circle. Cool. And in my circle, right, the x and y just have to be same coefficients, right? But there's a 4 on everything, so I can go ahead and divide everything by 4. So we get x minus 3 squared plus y minus 3/2 squared is equal to 4. Okay, so my center is at 3, 3/2, and then my radius is equal to 2. So 1, 2, 3. There's my center. Go right 2. I'm going to go down 2, left 2, up 2. There's my beautiful wonky circle. All right, and that's it.